This episode on Sailing Popao, we land the biggest fish on board to date.
It's a bittersweet moment when you shoot a fish like this. You get this thing called, what they call it, hunter's remorse. You appreciate the fish, but you also feel for it, you know, it's such an awesome animal. But yeah, super sustainable, super delicious, and this thing's going to feed us for a long time. What's the plan for today, Yezi?
Well, we have just moved spots to reef number 10 and we are going to go chase some bigger doggies today. So we got
Hopefully.
The smaller one on the boat yesterday, which was a good feeling to get the monkey off the back. Just spent this morning processing that, bagging it up, and going to take the scraps out there and hopefully chum up a bigger doggy. Yeah, pretty keen to get out there. This spot should be hopefully a little bit fishier than the last spot we went to. So yeah, I'm gonna launch the tender, refuel it, go shoot a big doggy. We'd put in a lot of time chasing these fish, which you don't really see in the videos because who would want to see 20 minutes of blue water on their screen? So even though it might look easy, what you don't see are the countless hours of boredom, bottomless ocean, and sunburn from driving around looking for spots to dive. You can usually tell pretty quickly when you jump in on a spot whether or not it's on, and today we could tell it was going to be a good one.
No.
We were keeping our eye on the prize, dog tooth only. So, of course, we were seeing plenty of great fish. We were seeing plenty of small dogtooth when I was blindsided by this huge marlin. Well, I certainly could have tried shooting this one. It was just too big for us, and I was here for a dogtooth tuna. I was happy to let it swim off for another day.
It's a nice one.
Did you see all the fish spook when he came in? That footage is going to be epic.
It's perfect size too.
You should have shot it.
You didn't try?
No, it's just cool to get footage like that.
Good to see.
Yeah.
Only little though. Nah, because it's too shallow as well. That was a pretty crazy drift. We saw doggies. I had a massive marlin swim up to me. I was like, oh, do I shoot it? It was sort of a long shot anyway, and I didn't want to hurt it. And I thought if I don't shoot it, Michael would be like, why didn't you shoot it? And if he did shoot it, he would have been like, what are we going to do with it now? Because may just fit in our fridge. Michael, shoot or not to shoot?
The hardest part about sailing and spearfishing. But it came close to it, I would have shot it.
How big do you reckon it was? Like 50, 70?
50 max, I reckon.
Very cool fish. I could see, hopefully I got it on footage. Hopefully it wasn't looking down or looking up.
At this point in our trip up the barrier reef, we'd seen plenty of marlin. Some were too big, some were too far, but none of them were just right. That was until our very next drift. As I was pointing at a marlin over Jess's shoulder, she was actually pointing at one over mine. After a split second of sizing up the fish, I took a shot and stopped it in its tracks. It was only a few seconds before the fish was covered in sharks. With the fish slowly towing me away and Jess stuck behind dragging the tender, she was unable to fend them off. I figured the best chance at landing this fish was to actually get back in the boat so I could horse it in, leaving Jess both hands to fend off a pack of hungry sharks. Thanks, Jess. How's the sharks? Huh? They good? Should we get photos?
Get in the boat.
Get it in the boat.
Oh my gosh!
That's crazy. Stoned him.
How's the shark's too scared to touch it?
Yeah, crazy.
Bit its tail, but like, oh, that's too hard. Pull my spear out. Unclip it if you can. Oh, I got it.
You're pointing and I'm like pointing behind you.
What are you doing there?
Oh, I'm just getting the slip tip out. A little trick that we know. We just tape the tip back on itself and then just guides itself straight through the fish. Yeah, I'm still in a bit of a daze. What happened just then? It was pretty intense. Just pointing behind me at obviously a marlin, and then I'm looking behind her and there's another one like right there, and just swam in front of us, and just before I even saw it, just nailed him, stoned it, and the sharks just went crazy.
pretty surreal photo. Marlin just chilling in the tender. See, I think here in the shade. See? Yeah. A lot of fish.
Yeah.
We'll manage, we always do.
It's a slab and a half, look at that.
It's a quarter of the fish.
Beautiful.
Yum. So I'm going to put as much in the fridge and freezer as I can. We've got ice in the freezer, which is pretty much all that's in there. So I'm going to then put that in the esky. They're really fast, sustainable fish, and we don't take them very often. We've seen plenty, and
Seen lots of bigger ones.
seen lots of bigger ones, yeah. Saw a huge one the other day. Anyway, back to cleaning. There's a big job ahead of us.
We estimated this marlin to be about 60 kilos. We filled our entire 30-litre esky with fillets. Once it had chilled down from the ice, we then bagged it up and filled most of our 60-litre freezer. We were pretty surprised how easily we fit it all in, and we still had plenty of room left over. We were also travelling with a number of other boats who were all excited to try marlin for their first time.
Alrighty, Michael, what do you got there?
Yeah, so
Whole lot of mess.
crazy afternoon, absolutely crazy. We were diving on these banks, and yeah, we're seeing heaps of good fish, like a few doggies, heaps of jobfish, like Jobfish City, and we caught a glimpse of a black marlin. We've been seeing a lot of these black marlin out here on these offshore reefs, and we love eating black marlin, but the problem is they're just too big. Like the ones we've been seeing are huge, like 100 kilos, 120 kilos, just like a little bit too much for us. And yeah, we're doing a drift, and Jess was pointing behind me. We'd already seen a marlin earlier in the day, and Jess pointed behind me, and I was pointing behind her. There's a marlin behind her as well. And I looked at it, I thought, oh, you know, that's a good size. Like, that's a beautiful eating size marlin. You know, they're really fast growing fish, like, you know, less than 3 years old, I reckon, for a marlin this size. And anyway, I just happened so fast, I just took the shot and stoned it, and it was there. And the sharks were just all over it. And they were like nibbling it and biting its tail. I didn't really know exactly what to do, if they were, you know, had the right to start eating yet. I just swam straight to the tender straight away, and I just horsed it in. I thought that's the fastest way I'm going to get it to the boat, because I was trying to pull it in, even though it was stoned and quivering. I hit the spine. You can see I've hit the spine here. So that's where my shot hit. So the fish just couldn't swim. So it was fully disabled. But just the quivering alone was enough to, like, it was pulling me away from the boat. So I just beelined it to the boat, pulled it in. Jess stayed in on shark duty, thanks Jess. And we got it in the boat. And
It was biting it, but I think the skin was the protector. The skin on marlin is really thick. See that? And I think those sharks were just biting it, and they couldn't get through, and they were just getting no return, and they just gave up.
well, I think they're also not used to eating things this big, you know. They were still wiggling a bit, so they were a bit cautious. And yeah, got it in the tender, and then drove it back to the big boat, and we've just been here filleting. Like, the biggest priority was just get the fillets on ice as fast as possible. So we've got our esky here, and that's full of...
Open it up, show us. That's all the prime cut, so we're just gonna go fit as much in the fridge as we can. Shut it.
Fridge and freezer, and we've got our friends Della over there. They've got a huge freezer as well, so they'll be able to
They're going to bring us some ice as well, so we can keep some on ice and eat that.
And yeah, you know, it's a bittersweet moment when you shoot a fish like this. You get this thing called what they call it, hunter's remorse. You appreciate the fish, but you also feel for it. You know, it's such an awesome animal. But yeah, super sustainable, super delicious, and this thing's going to feed us for a long time. So yeah, we've got a lot of scraps and we've been filleting, and yeah, the Maori wrasse are going crazy over the side there, and we're just going to take this out, take it out in the tender away from the reef, and we'll just give it a bit of a sea burial there, and yeah.
What do they say? Life begets life. So this will feed a lot of people
It's
and
only,
a lot of
only
meals.
it's a very fast growing fish. Oh, and the coolest thing is,
Not so cool because
Well,
we're missing the best part.
yeah, we're missing the mystery, but when I was filleting the belly flap, I found this plastic thing. I thought, what's this tumour or growth in there? And it's a, someone's caught this marlin online and tagged it. And it's, yeah, and it's,
But it's missing the tag with
I don't
the
know
info.
if it's because it's in the gut, the tag itself actually just fell out or rotted away, but the head of the tag's still in there. So yeah, it would be interesting to have known when this fish was tagged and how big it was and where it was caught and all that. But yeah, it's a shame, but anyway.
This is what we've actually been trying to get involved with, that New Zealand company that spear tags marlin, because it's like a catch and release in spearfishing. I mean, we catch and release them just by looking at them and letting them swim off, but it would be really cool to be able to tag some of these fish and get some data back in a few months or years when people catch them again. Which is really sucks we don't have that ID number on the tag, because that's all that information. Once you submit that number to fisheries, they tell you where it was caught and by who and all that, don't they?
Yep. Anyway, so we've done a pretty good filleting job, I think, of that. And got the remains here. Beautiful fish. Ready for sea burial.
Now, Michael, a lot of people are going to have a go at you for shooting a marlin. What do you have to say about shooting marlin?
I have, no problem at all. As long as you can use the meat and you don't waste it. Best eating fish in the ocean. We've seen now, we've seen about
Hundreds.
8 marlin in the last month diving out here, which is unbelievable. Some people spend their whole lives looking for them. But yeah, we've seen about 8 of them. And
We've seen hundreds over the course of our life.
Seen a lot, yeah, and we've passed up, countless amount just looking for those nice sub kind of like 50 kilo fish is perfect eating. We have shot bigger ones and they are fantastic if you have access to a big deep freezer, but on the boat, yeah, we don't. So we just look for a nice smallish fish, and this is a little bit bigger than I thought, but yeah, it's still at sub 50, I reckon, and beautiful eating. Yeah, so there's a huge divide between people taking marlin and not taking them. It's a super fast growing fish. They are beautiful, just like any other fish. They are a majestic creature, but fast growing, delicious eating, and you're actually probably better off shooting something like this than 1,000 smaller reef fish, but that are slow growing. So anyway, each to their own. We choose to take them when we can and we have the space. And yeah, as long as you can use it, it's seriously, hands down, top 5 fish to eat in the ocean, I reckon.
Seared marlin, with sesame crust, yum.
See you, mate.
Look at these big wrasses coming up, and big red bass.
Big nurse shark hanging around the back of the boat.
What are we having, Michael?
Look at that for a marlin steak. Man, oh man. It's like a fat chicken schnitty.
What do you guys think? Della Magic.
It's
really good.
Pink in the middle.
Oh yeah.
This one.
That's how they should all
That's a
be.
solid piece.
That's
That's
incredible.
massive
It's a solid chunk of fish.
Yeah, nice. Beautiful.
With
Not
garlic
fishy,
sauce.
Crispy.
Bloody good fish.
So it was a massive night last night getting all the fish sorted. We managed to squeeze all the fish in here last night. So it's all bagged up. Let's put some of those in because I need to rehydrate. We've still got room. How friggin' good is that? And then we also have a fridge full of fish in here. 1, 2, 3, 4 containers. And Michael just gave away this big container's worth to a scuba boat. They came in and we had started chatting to them and mentioned we caught a big fish, and yeah, next minute we just gave them a big bit of fish, and yeah, pretty stoked with that. And then they actually came back 10 minutes later, gave us some Mars bars.
Mars bars and Cokes and
Oh yeah,
orange juice and all sorts of goodies.
living it up.
Very nice.
Anyway, we are just chilling out here at the reef and probably get back out to that shoal in a few days. We've got some friends coming out, so hopefully we can share that fish with them and yeah, get back in the water. But look at this viz. It is just insane. Beautiful spot.
Marlin is one of our favourite eating fish. These are just a few examples of how we used it in a number of dishes. Plenty of sushi rolls, and Michael smoked a bunch of it to use in meals down the track.
Having dinner with the edit desk tonight. I'm just exporting and uploading. We are squeezing on. What have you cooked here, Michael?
So, we haven't had an oven on this boat ever, but we've starting to learn little ways to make that magma barbecue into an oven. So I made smoked marlin potato bake. I have to say, it looks and smells ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ready for the great reveal? You got enough light
You can hear
there?
it over the Jenny, yeah. Oh, sounds good. Don't get too violent.
What do you mean? I gotta cut it.
I'm gonna spill that drink. Oh my goodness. All the
Look at
good
that.
stuff.
So we've got potato, sour cream, a brown onion, smoked marlin, cheese, butter, tasty cheese, and then parmesan on top for the crunch. Oh,
That's so good.
look at it.
Alright, I'm trying it.
Join us next episode as we soak up this amazing weather at the reef and head out for a bit of blue water action.
We went and gave the scuba boat a bit of marlin.
Oh, that's neat!
Far out.
Oh, wow.
If you'd like to support us further, you can join us on Patreon for ad-free, early videos, extra videos, and patron-only merch. A huge thanks to our current patrons for your ongoing support. Cheers, everyone.
Get the bloody hell!